Part 35. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 356. Judging from the old lady's tone, she must have thought of Third Aunt and Joe Iping. Chu Xia didn't know how to answer the conversation. After all, the matter between these two people had something to do with her. Seeing her uneasiness, Mrs. Joe took the initiative to speak. When your third uncle brought Lu Lingmei back for the first time, I was not very satisfied. I thought that girl looked dignified, but her eyes were rolling around. People are uncomfortable. Your third uncle is honest, knowing that he has a bad eye for people. He listened to persuasion, so he thought about breaking up with her. In the end, he still married her. In the past few years when the Zhou family was in trouble, although she quarreled with your third uncle, she didn't do anything too outrageous. However, after the Zhou family was rehabilitated, she always wanted to benefit from everything. Why does your second uncle's family live here and theirs live outside? It's because everyone can't live with her here. Only her narrow-mindedness makes trouble, and most people can't stand it. Of course, for the sake of looking good, that is, for the convenience of their work, they want a house for their family outside. Chu Xia, this incident has nothing to do with you at all. Since Joe Iping married into Xiao's family, your third aunt has had her tail on the sky. It will be a matter of time for the Xiao family to deal with the Zhou family. As long as the Xiao family makes a move, Lu Lingmei will definitely switch to the Xiao family. This is something your grandfather and your parents have long understood. It's just that, as the saying goes, it's better to demolish 10 temples than break up a single marriage. What we can do is to try our best not to let her know about the Zhou family's affairs. When she betrays her one day, at best, she will lose her one person, instead of poaching a leg of the Zhou family. The old lady is so frank, Chu Xia no longer taboos. Ask directly, Grandma, it's been so long. I've never had the nerve to ask, how are Aunt San and Joe Iping doing now? After Lu Lingmei had an accident with Xiao Binky, she once begged your third uncle to forgive her and let her go home, but your third uncle refused her. Originally, she wanted to make a fuss, but it was your third uncle who showed Xiao Binky's testimony to her, so she stopped and went back to her natal home, and now she seems to be living in her natal home. As for Joe Iping, after Xiao Yuan's accident, she was nowhere to be found. Your grandfather and your father sent someone, but they didn't find her. Originally, it was suspected that she had returned to Xiao's hometown, but there was no trace of her there, as if she had disappeared out of thin air. Your grandfather is still sending people to investigate this matter. I hope she can come back safely. No matter what, she is a child of the Zhou family. She is wrong. As long as she can change it, the Zhou family can accept her. No wonder the old lady was so sad just now. It turned out that they were worried about Joe Iping's safety. In fact, although Joe Iping has a bad personality, but he is a careless and straight-hearted donkey, who can say what he wants, unlike Lu Lingmei, who says one thing and does another. If something really happened, I guess everyone would feel bad. Of course she can't say whether she feels good or not. She has no idea about this person at all. The grandfather and grandson walked back halfway. Met Zhou Mikang, who came out to meet them. Grandma, aren't you tired? Zhou Mikang quickly glanced at Chu Xia, then turned to the other side of Mrs. Zhou, and supported her. He. Mrs. Zhou smiled and slapped his hand off. I'm not too old to walk, and you hold me up one by one, so that others will think I'm going to find marks when they see it. Grandma, do you ever curse yourself like that? Zhou Mikang stared at the old lady dissatisfied. I'm afraid you'll be tired from all the activities, and you've been out for almost half an hour. We just strolled around and were tired after half an hour, the old lady said, taking a deep breath. However, the air in the morning is really fresh, and the people in this courtyard are getting lazy now. Let's go. After half an hour, I met only one morning exerciser, who was still young, and I didn't know them. Those old guys were all huddled at home one by one. Quite a few went to see Marx. The corners of Chu Xia's mouth twitched. The old lady and Max's relationship are so deep. She would ask everyone to see Max every now and then. Hey, if this statement was put in her time, it would be laughed at as an old-fashioned cliché, right? What did Grandma tell you? Zhou Mikang asked on the way to send Chu Xia to the hospital. It's just chatting, let me feel at ease in this house. Chu Xia turned her head and looked at him carefully. Zhou Mikang, your life is mine, and you can't throw it away without my permission. Don't worry, I'll keep it for you. Although I am younger than you, you must not leave earlier than me. I hope that when I am 90 years old, you can still take care of me. After I leave, you can chase me. No matter what age you are, you have to follow me. Good. Remember what you promised me. If you can't do it, even if I chase you to hell, I will find you to settle the score. Good. Hey, can't you say anything but good? Chu Xia protested and stared at him. It's so boring, it's useless for people to care about you so much. Will I be a father when I come back? Ah, Chu Xia stared at him blankly, unable to understand for a moment. What I mean is. Zhou Mikang glanced at Chu Xia's belly. Have the baby seeds sprouted, and they will probably bear fruit when I come back. Cut. Chu Xia looked at him with contempt. Do you really think you are a sharpshooter? Daughter-in-law, can we be more reserved? Zhou Mikang was speechless. At this time, you should at least show what it's like to be shy. Chu Xia rolled her eyes. You're so shy. You. With someone's attitude, Chief Zhou really didn't know what to say. Is there anyone in this world more wonderful than his little wife? Okay, don't make such an expression. Chu Xia sighed, and scratched her hair again. I really don't care about shyness now, can you understand my mood? I just feel annoyed that I had the opportunity to understand this, but I don't understand everything. Now I'm very worried that I can't help you with the half knowledge. In contrast, I'd rather not know anything, that way, I don't need to be so flustered. You also said that we won in the end, so what's there to panic about? Winning is winning, but how can anyone not die in a war? Even if you fully understand, it's impossible not to die. As long as it's a war, there will be casualties. Why? Don't sigh. Zhou Mikang pampered and rubbed his head that had become a chicken coop. Don't worry, even for you, God will love me. After a pause, he said, I see, you are falling in love with me, otherwise I wouldn't be so worried, haha. Chu Xia. Too narcissistic, is it right? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 357. I have a cold, I feel so uncomfortable. I have only written a chapter until now, and I will work harder tomorrow. Leader. Zhou Hanliang looked at Zhou Mikang, who was sunny early in the morning. Is there any happy event? Can you tell me to make me happy too? Go do your job. Zhou Mikang pushed him. If something goes wrong tomorrow, let's see how I will deal with you. Something's wrong. Zhou Hanliang looked him up and down with a smirk. Captain, did your sister-in-law give you candy? Yes. Zhou Mikang squinted at him. What's the matter, what do you have to say? No. Yes. Zhou Hanliang was so frightened that he walked out. I'm just jealous. No. Let me explain. Look at your cowardice. Come back to me. Zhou Hanliang stepped back cautiously. Commander, what are your orders? We're leaving tomorrow, go and meet Daodu. No need. Zhou Hanliang's expression darkened suddenly. It's better not to see. You bastard, Zhou Mikang glared at him. In the past 6 months, she and her biological mother have been at odds with each other. Although she hasn't seen you, her determination is there. If you don't see her, you will definitely not regret it. There was a trace of pain in Zhou Hanliang's eyes. She probably won't get news from me. If she doesn't see her, she doesn't have to worry. With her father's position, how could she not know that you are going on a mission? Jo Mi-kang sighed. Forget it, this is your private matter. I won't say more, you can figure it out yourself. Yes, Jo Han-liang replied. Turned around and left the office. Frowning and staring at the door for a while, Jo Mi-kang called Yun Daodu's father, Yun Fengshan's office. Help me pick up Deputy Commander Yun. Wait a moment. After waiting for a long time, the call received Yun Fengshan's special line, Hello, I am Yun Fengshan. The magnetic baritone made people feel good. Hello, Deputy Jun. After a pause, Jo Mi-kang continued. Your time is precious, and I won't be too wordy. We're leaving tomorrow. Can you give Yun Daodu a day off? Aren't you already married? Yun Fengshan said slowly. That's right, I'm married, but Jo Han-liang isn't married and doesn't have a girlfriend. I believe Deputy Jun should know about them. If it was normal, I would definitely not get involved in this matter. Now I do this, I just don't want your daughter to hate you for the rest of my life, and I don't want my brother to leave with regrets. Unexpectedly, you are still a pessimist. Yun Fengshan snorted. If that's the case, what's the need to meet? I didn't say that something would happen to Jo Han-liang, I just said that he has been away for too long. Your daughter may turn her anger on you if she thinks wildly. She was thrown away by her adoptive parents since she was a child. The relationship between her and you is not deep. If you continue to toss like this, don't blame me for not reminding you. You threatened me. If you understand it that way, I don't want to explain it. Jo Mi-kang. Now you are begging me. I didn't ask you, I just gave you a chance. Give me a chance, Yun Fengshan laughed angrily. Give me a chance to send my daughter to meet a man my wife strictly forbids to see, and turn our family into a quarrel. Is this the chance you gave? If this is the case, then you really need to straighten out your family relationship. I don't need to say what an excellent soldier Jo Han-liang is. As a direct leader, you should be clear about it, right? Is this how you treat your immediate leadership? I am advising you now in a private capacity. I said, can you be more contradictory and overbearing? Okay, let Yun Daodu come to Master A. Yun Fengshan. If you don't speak, I will take it as your agreement. My car will arrive at your door in 5 minutes. Please arrange for Daodu to come out. Jo Mi-kang hung up without waiting for Yun Fengshan to answer. Cut off the phone. Regimental leader. Jo Han-liang, who had listened to everything after delivering the documents, stared at Jo Mi-kang speechlessly, not knowing what to say. Is there anyone who asks for help like this? Is there such a thing as overbearing with the boss? Captain's Heise, are you helping me or hurting me? Of course, these can only be yelled in his heart. On the bright side, he dare not show it. However, in the bottom of his heart, he was moved. The group leader Tongzi was so domineering with his boss to help him, good brother, not helping. Let's go. Jo Mi-kang glanced at the documents he sent over, then got up and dragged him out. Other people's affairs have been dealt with, and it's time to be happy. Captain, didn't you just say that you would not interfere with my private affairs? Jo Han-liang asked weakly. I don't want to interfere, but when you left my office, can I ignore the half-dead look? No matter what happens to you in the future, you must see each other now. This is for you and her, understand? I don't really understand. Jo Han-liang's mind was a bit mushy, and he couldn't figure out what the head of the team said. If you don't understand, then don't understand, you just follow me. No, Jo Han-liang grabbed the door frame and refused to leave. It's useless for us to go, I can't make you lose face by following me. Who says I'm ashamed? I promise, Yun Fengshan will definitely let Yun Daodu come out to see you. Jo Mi-kang pulled his fingers away, and pulled him into the car vigorously, as if throwing one to be raped like his little daughter-in-law. Plop was thrown on the back seat. the difference is that he didn't pounce on the little wife, but on the steering wheel. Head, I know you are a full man and a hungry man, and you want to help me, but my problem is too serious, and we have not been allowed to meet for more than half a year. How can we see you now? Besides, didn't Dowdu make an appointment with me? If she doesn't get her parents settled, she won't see me, and she won't see me now that the horoscope has not been written yet. Head, don't waste your time. Otherwise, drive directly to MR's sister-in-law's hospital. There are many nurses there. You just happen to be reunited with MR's sister-in-law. Shut up, Joe Mikang glared at Jo Han Liang, who was getting more and more outrageous. Listen to my arrangement now. Jo Han Liang sat upright, took a look at Jo Mikang, and said weakly, the leader is getting more and more domineering. I want to know, are you also so domineering in front of your wife? What do you think? According to my imagination, MR's sister-in-law should be under your control, but... There was a long pause until Jo Mikang gave him a hard look. Jo Han Liang continued, but imagination is generally unreliable and inaccurate, so the real answer should be. You bow to your wife. Nonsense, Jo Mikang glared at him, aren't you caring too much? Feeling that he had guessed right, Jo Han Liang closed his mouth contentedly. It feels really good to be able to reveal the little secret of the head of the group. He knew who to turn to for help in the future. Ah ha 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 ha, this is because I am happy because I want to know who can be the captain. Or happy at the possibility of meeting Dowdu. Han Liang Tongzi said that he was very entangled. Before the car reached the door of Yun's house, a slender figure was seen running towards him from a distance. Head, stop, it's Dowdu, Jo Han Liang shouted excitedly. Jo Mikang glanced at him speechlessly, do you think your two legs are faster than four wheels? Jo Han Liang smirked embarrassedly, he was in a hurry and confused. The car stopped 2 meters away from Yun Dowdu. Jo Han Liang quickly opened the door and ran down. Seeing the two of them fluttering together like flying butterflies, the corners of Jo Mikang's mouth twitched fiercely. Are these two incarnations of Liang Shanbo and Zhu Yingtai? Dowdu, you've lost weight. Han Liang, you've lost weight too. Dowdu, I miss you. I miss you as well. Dowdu, I thought I would never see you again. Me too. Dowdu, do you miss me? I said, I miss you too. Yes, I feel a little dreamy, and my mind is not clear. Me too. The two who hadn't seen each other for half a year hugged each other, talking nonsense. The head of the group, Tongzi, said that his time was precious, so he didn't want to waste time with them. He quickly turned on the ignition, reversed the car, and drove the car away. Tuan, Tuan, Tuan. Jo Han Liang was in a hurry, so he just threw him here. What if his mother saw it? Is the leader who drove here just now? Yun Dowdu asked belatedly. Yeah, Jo Han Liang looked around nervously. How did you get out? Where's your mother? She warned me that if you don't look like a human being, you won't be allowed to see you. If she sees you, it will be troublesome if we don't let us meet again in the future. Don't worry, my mom was dismissed by my dad, and she won't be able to come back after a while. Yun Dowdu smiled sweetly at him. My dad called me and told me that you wanted to see me. I still don't believe it. I didn't expect it to be true. For more than half a year, I have been looking forward to this day every day, but I didn't expect that my wish would come true so quickly. Han Liang, my dad has let go, and we will be together. It won't be so long before we meet again. Your father promised you to see me. It was the group leader who called him. After hesitating for a while, Jo Han Liang still told her the truth. I'm leaving tomorrow, and I don't know when I'll be back. If I can come back properly, I will definitely marry you. No matter what your mother asks, I will definitely do it. Is it dangerous? Yun Dowdu answered after asking, I'm so stupid. If my dad can trick my mom away and create opportunities for us, it means that you are going to face an extremely dangerous situation. Johan Liang, we no matter how dangerous it is, you have to come back and marry me, it is necessary. Johan Liang looked at her fixedly, without saying a word. I know, you have no idea and don't want to lie to me. Yun Daodu hugged him tightly. In this life, I will only marry you, so you can figure it out. In this life, I will only marry you. Johan Liang pulled her hand away, kissed her forehead lightly, turned around, and left without hesitation. There was no crying, no chasing, the smile on her face was bright, and the tears rolled down like beads with a broken thread. When he was about to turn onto the road, she shouted, Johan Liang, I love you forever. His footsteps stopped, his back turned to her, and he silently waved his hands. When he raised his feet again, his steps became more sonorous and powerful. It wasn't until Johan Liang's back disappeared that Yun Daodu turned and walked back. At the door, she met Yun Malan Alien who had gone and returned. Who did you see just now? Lan Alien stared at her seriously. Is it Johan Liang? Glancing at her faintly, Yun Daodu raised her foot and walked into the yard. Stop for me, what's your attitude? Yun Daodu. Can't you hear me talking? Finally, Yun Daodu stopped, turned her head and stared at her coldly. Are you my mother? What do you think? Lan Alien was going crazy. No one in this family dared to despise her authority like this, including her husband. If it's a real mother, it's impossible to completely treat my daughter as a bargaining chip. You stop me and don't allow me to associate with Johan Liang. Don't you just hope that I can marry into the May family? I advise you, wake up. May Big Brother doesn't like me. You stick to May's house every day, it will only make Aunt Chiao look down on you from the bottom of her heart. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 358. It's the wrong way, you're really the wrong way. Lan Alien, who was poked by her daughter, was furious. From today on, you are not allowed to step out of this door half a step. Otherwise, I will treat you as if I never gave birth to you. Then just pretend you didn't give birth to me. Yun Daodu didn't even look at Lan Alien, who was so angry that her facial features were deformed, and went straight into the yard. The daughter who had always been submissive suddenly seemed to be a different person. Lan Alien was so angry that her teeth ached, but she blamed all of this on her husband, and went into the room with a sullen face and called Yun Fengshan, get out of here immediately, come back, or we'll divorce. What's crazy? Yun Fengshan on the other end of the phone said impatiently, I'm at work, I don't have time to mess around with you. What's the matter? I'll talk about it when I get home at night. Okay, if you dare to come back at night, don't think I'll embarrass you by going to the headquarters. Knowing that she would definitely find the old commander, Yun Fengshan had no choice but to soften her tone. Alien, I'm really busy here, tell me what's going on. Pretend again, Lan Alien said bitterly, you tricked me out just to create opportunities for Johan Liang. Yun Fengshan, isn't Daodu your daughter? Have you been kicked out of your mind? Comrade Lan Alien, please pay attention to your wording. Yun Fengshan was not happy anymore. No matter how good-tempered he was, he could not allow his wife to describe him with such insulting words. Lan Alien snorted coldly with disdain, you are so confused, what wording do you need me to pay attention to? It's okay to die, if you are missing an arm or a leg, Daodu's stubbornness will not be tied for life on him. You are simply trying to kill your daughter for the rest of your life, and you still have the face to ask me to pay attention to my wording. Lan Alien. If you have the guts, tell your father this without saying a single word. Yun Fengshan slammed the phone on the table after roaring. Think about it, pick up your coat and go outside. Lan Alien listened to the blind voice coming from the microphone. Her head was about to explode. Just when she was about to call Yun Fengshan again, Yun Daodu came out of the room with a big black bag in her hand. What are you doing? Where are you going? Lan Alien quickly stood in front of her daughter. Just pretend you didn't give birth to me, Yun Daodu sighed, and took the initiative to open the bag. Here are a few changes of clothes for me. My mother bought them for me. If you don't believe me, you can check them out. Jun Daodu. What are you trying to do? Because of being too angry, Lan Alien's voice was extremely sharp. Yun Daodu unconsciously rubbed her ears, which annoyed Lan Alien even more. Crack, a slap on her hand. Do you think my voice is ugly? Are you trying to piss me off? Saying woo woo and crying. I know, you blamed me for sending you out, so in front of outsiders, the parents you mentioned have always been adoptive parents. Because of this, your father and I are very sad. If it is possible, which parent is willing to separate from the child? At that time, if I really bring you by my side? You are the second Kyokuo. Every time I see her, I feel as uncomfortable as a needle pricks my heart. Peace. If I hadn't pinned too much hope on you, how could I ask so much of you? You might hate me now. Think I'm snobby, you'll understand later. I'm doing this for your own good. If it's for my own good, you shouldn't stop me like this. When Yun Kyokuo mentioned her sister, Yun Daodu's heart softened, and her tone was naturally not as cold as before. Lan Alien wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, took her daughter's hand, and begged her face, sit down and have a good talk with mom, okay? If it was the furious and domineering Lan Alien, Jun Daodu could leave without leaving, but she had never seen such a Lan Alien before. Since she came back to this home, this was the first time she saw Lan Alien with such a helpless appearance. She, who was eager to leave, unconsciously followed Lan Alien's wishes and sat on the sofa. Mom knows that mom has a bad temper and is prone to getting anxious, but mom is sincerely doing what is good for this family and for your sisters. Back then, it was because my mother was too weak that Kyokuo was harmed like that. Therefore, from that time on, my mother vowed to make herself stronger, to protect her child from wind and rain, and not to put all her hopes on the man. Gradually, mom even forgot what her original personality was like, but in the hearts of you and your sister, mom is an irritable and unreasonable woman. Why does mom so firmly disagree with you being with Johan Liang? Because, in mom's eyes, he is the second Yun Fengshan. He is a good man and a good man who is loyal to the country, but when something happens, he is simply unable to protect his family. If it weren't for your grandfather, your father would never be able to achieve this position now, so, mother can no longer let you find an ordinary man with no background. I can't let you go back to mother's old way. Yun Daodu interrupted her. Mom, what's wrong with my dad? He lets you do everything and is considerate of you. If you are not satisfied with such a man, then I can't imagine what kind of only a man can meet your standards. Anyway, I think that if the man I marry can be like my father, I will be satisfied. He lets me follow me in everything now because of his guilt. If it weren't for him, your sister wouldn't be what she is today. When Lan Alien said this, Jun Daodu didn't know what to say. My elder sister, Yun Kyokuo, is 23 years old this year, but her intelligence is only equivalent to that of a year-old child. She was pushed down the stairs by the red guards and broke her head. Lan Alien said that she blamed Yun Fengshan for this because on the day Yun Kyokuo had an accident, Lan Alien and Yun Fengshan had a big fight, and then Yun Fengshan slammed the door and left. As a result, not long after he left, the red guards arrived. One of the red guards slapped Lan Alien, and Yun Kyokuo rushed up to bite the red guard's hand, and was pushed down the stairs. If Yun Fengshan was at home that day, the result was not like this. This is also the fundamental reason why Lan Alien disliked Yun Fengshan for so many years. Yun Daodu heard Lan Alien tell these past events not once, but every time, Lan Alien scolded and mocked Yun Fengshan with emotion, so she never felt that her father was wrong. And in her opinion, if her mother had a better temper and the quarrel was not so unreasonable, her father would not slam the door and leave, and the consequences would not be like this. Fundamentally speaking, the mother is the one who needs to bear the main responsibility. It's just that she didn't dare to say this and couldn't say it, otherwise, Lan Alien would definitely go crazy with anger. Mom, I understand what you mean, but I really like Zhou Hanliang. I have been obedient to you before, now, please do me once. He's going to go out on a mission tomorrow. Although I don't know what the specific mission is, I can tell from his voice that it's quite dangerous. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come to see me on purpose. Mom, I want to clearly tell him my determination, and let him leave with some concerns. If Mom doesn't let me go, or, my hatred for Mom in this life, just like Mom's hatred for Dad, will become a button that cannot be undone. Lan Alien frowned. Yes, as long as Yun Qiuqiu didn't return to normal, she couldn't forgive Yun Fengshan from the bottom of her heart, but how could Zhou Hanliang compare with Yun Qiuqiu? Do you have to fight me? I've told you so much, but you can't listen. Lan Alien's voice became tough again. Mom, do you know why I haven't seen Zhou Hanliang in the past 6 months? Yun Daodu sighed, because I don't want to make you angry. I know that because of my sister, you had no choice but to send me to my father and mother to raise me. What you are most taboo about is that I have a good relationship with my parents, but a bad relationship with you and my father. Parents are well aware of your taboos, and whenever I go to see them, they advise me not to go, to respect you well, saying that it is not easy for you. Mom, don't you think you're living a bit selfish? When my sister had an accident, Dad felt more guilty than you, but every time you poked him with it, you poked him with it. You use this as a threat to let each of us obey you and listen to you. If you don't follow your wishes even a little bit, you will throw things and beat people, causing the world to turn upside down. Because of my obedience, do you think that I really forgot about Zhou Hanliang, so I won't be with him? I heard you called Dad just now. You mean, because of Dad, I thought of Zhou Hanliang again. Moreover, what you said is missing arms and legs. I will tie him up in the future. Mom, you are a descendant of a soldier, how can you talk like that? I have been waiting, you can really understand my heart, know who I love, and no longer go to May's house to be a watchman. What a pity. Yun Daodu sighed heavily. I am completely disappointed until today. I want to move to my parents' place. If you wish, you can pretend that I was not born. You are trying to piss me off. Jun Daodu looked at Lan Alien, who was furious again with a calm expression, got up, picked up her bag and went out. Stop. Mamalu, Mamali, where are you all? Stop her. When Yun Fengshan came back, Lan Alien sat on the sofa crying alone, hesitated. Yun Fengshan sat beside her and patted her on the shoulder lightly. Daodu. Lan Alien raised her tear-eyed face, and when she saw who was sitting next to her, she immediately went crazy, and her fists rained down on Yun Fengshan's body. It's all your fault. It was your fault. It was all your fault. Okay, Yun Fengshan hugged her tightly. Alien, we have hurt each other for so many years, enough is enough. Qiuqiu's damage has been done. What are we trying to do if we continue to torture each other like this? You actually tricked the nanny and Qiuqiu out. You just wanted Daodu to meet that man. Are you the father? Are you the one who pushed the daughter into the fire pit? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 359. Hearing Lan Alien say that he pushed his daughter into the fire pit, Yun Fengshan frowned. He let go of his wife and looked at her seriously. If I want to go on a mission with Zhou Hanliang now, do you want to get in touch with him immediately? I divorce. What? Lan Alien's voice suddenly rose an octave. You lied to me, didn't you? You must have lied to me, didn't you? Have you forgotten that division belongs to our army? Jun Fengshan sighed heavily. I really can't imagine that as a descendant of a soldier, your thinking would be so narrow, that as a soldier you don't protect your family. What are you going to do? You have protected other people's homes, what do you do with your own? Lan Alien sighed. I didn't think that way before, you know, but my dad only protected other people's homes all his life, so what happened? Every time I go home and see his injured leg, I feel chills from the bottom of my heart. He can forgive me, but I can't. Yunfenshan, you can say that I am selfish and narrow-minded, but I will tell you very clearly that I do not want you to go to this house. Think about it carefully. It's unreasonable. Jun Fengshan got up and walked out. If you want to get a divorce, you can report it, I won't drag you. Jun Fengshan, you bastard. Lan Alien threw a broom on the sofa at Jun Fengshan and smashed it heavily on his back. At this moment, the two nannies came back with Jun Qiuqiu. Seeing the serious-looking man standing in the center of the hall, the expressions of the two nanny changed, and they wanted to pull Yun Qiuqiu out again, but Yun Qiuqiu jumped on Jun Fengshan with a smile. Dad. Jun Fengshan fondly tried his daughter's hand. Fortunately, it was warm, so he nodded approvingly to the two nannies. Go and rest for a while. Yes, the two nanny quickly returned to the nanny's room and closed the door of the room tightly. They were annoyed that it was not the right time for them to come back. If they had known, they would have taken the eldest lady outside for a while longer. Why? Dad, yes, Qiuqiu went out to play just now. It was Mama Lu and Mama Li who took Qiuqiu out to play. Dad, it's fun outside. You can take Qiuqiu and mother to play tomorrow, okay? Jun Qiuqiu like a child. Li Zai Jun Fengshan twisted and twisted on his body. Jun Fengshan's heart softened immediately, and he patted his daughter's back lightly. Okay, Dad will take you to play, but maybe not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, okay? Okay, Jun Qiuqiu nodded happily, got up from Jun Fengshan's arms, and rushed towards Lan Alien. Mom, Dad wants to take us to play, if you don't bring Daodu, she won't be obedient. Dad takes Qiuqiu to play, but not Daodu. Lan Alien softly coaxed her eldest daughter. Qiuqiu, go back to your room and change into the clothes you wear at home before coming out, okay? Yun Qiuqiu looked at Yunfen Mountain hesitantly. Jun Fengshan smiled at her and waved his hand. Go, Dad won't leave, Dad will wait for Qiuqiu to come down. Yeah, with a cheerful response, Jun Qiuqiu jumped upstairs. Lan Alien wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and lowered her head without speaking. With a heavy sigh, Jun Fengshan sat beside her. Well, I was wrong, I know you can't get over the hurdle in your heart, but there are some things that really can't be blamed like this. Every time I see Qiuqiu, my heart hurts like a needle stick. Our faults, and the faults of that era, have to be borne by her. But think about it, if we were not so ignorant back then, or all this is not what it is today, so we can't make the same mistakes again. If I back off, the children will be pointed at, you and I will go out, and you will not be able to stand up, and at the same time, we will not be able to stand the condemnation of our conscience, right? It's you who are ignorant, not us. Lan Alien looked at Jun Fengshan angrily. To this day, you still haven't figured out who is wrong. Don't jump. Okay, it's all my fault, but, do you want the kids to be able to keep their heads up? If I back off, the kids will never be able to keep their heads up, you and I, probably too, right? Bus. A lot of words on the net. Lan Alien frowned. Don't use such words to scare me. This time it is expressly stipulated that if there is only one son in the family, you cannot participate. Isn't your family only you? Don't skip words. I'm the lieutenant commander. Isn't the deputy commander human? Unreasonable trouble. The softness in Jun Fengshan's heart disappeared immediately. He really couldn't communicate with his wife, but in front of his children, he always kept his word, so naturally he couldn't leave Yoon Kyo with him. I felt uncomfortable in the hall, so I went upstairs and stood outside my daughter's door to wait. Dad hugged me when Jun Kyo came out to see her father. She was naturally overjoyed. She wrapped her arms around her father's neck and hung it around her father's neck like a koala. Kyo is so big, Dad can't hold it. Jun Fengshan took her daughter's hand downstairs. Dad will take you to Grandpa's house to see Grandpa and Grandma. Jade is not Jade. Okay. Okay. Jun Kyo nodded heavily, with a happy face. Grandma and Grandpa love Kyo the most. Mom, go and see Grandma and Grandpa, not Aunt, she's bad. After Jun Daodu left the house with her bag, she did not go to her foster parents' house. She knew that if she went like this, it would only make them worried and unable to sleep. The adoptive parents are ordinary workers, and they have an instinctive fear of the father who is an officer and the mother who came from a military family. Yoon Daodu is close. Therefore, even if they miss her very much, they don't dare to bring her home. If her brother Lee Xingjun told her that her parents couldn't sleep because of her thoughts, she would really think that her parents were just doing their duty to raise her. When she left, they naturally stopped treating her as a family. Because of her growing environment, she doesn't have particularly good friends. Standing on the road with her bag in hand, she has a feeling that she has nowhere to go. Chu Xia was sitting bored in Zhou Mikang's office and playing with her fingers. Tomorrow, the leader of Johto was going to leave, and her relatives and teachers forced her to come to the group to accompany him. Thinking that it won't take a long time to see each other again, she obeyed the teacher's wishes. It was only after she arrived that she found out that the regiment leader, Han Liang, was not there either. She was too embarrassed to find others during work hours, so she went to Su Zhenghong and asked for the key to Zhou Mikang's office, and sat here guarding the door to wait for the regiment leader. When she was sitting in a daze, there was footsteps outside the door, and she hurriedly stood up. Early summer, Jun Daodu, who was standing at the door, looked surprised. Daodu, why are you here? You want to kill me, you are so cruel, you won't show up again after you leave. We all miss you. Xiaoxian even called you ungrateful a few days ago. Early summer greeted him, and all he was muttering was a scolding. I'm sorry, I couldn't attend when you got married. Jun Daodu sighed, I miss you too. It's not that I'm cruel, it's that I'm afraid that after seeing you, I can't help but make my mother if I'm not happy, then all my efforts may be in vain. Thinking about it now, I'm really stupid. My mother is someone who can figure it out just by waiting. So, I've run away from home now and asked for shelter. Chu Xia smirked and poked her finger. Are you here to find Instructor Joe for shelter? There are a lot of words on the bus network. No, I'm going to find you, but I don't know exactly where you are, so I thought about coming over to ask the regimental leader. I didn't expect that, I just happened to meet you. What about the regiment leader? I don't know, I didn't see him when I came. I asked Master Su, he didn't know where he went, and said that Master A's work assignments were all arranged, and he might have gone out to run errands. Ah, Jun Daodu slapped his forehead fiercely, he's not looking for you, right? There are a lot of words on the bus network. He accompanied Zhou Hanliang to my house, and then he left early. It is estimated that he should be looking for you, and you are looking for a fork in the road. It's possible. Chu Xia nodded, then I'll wait here in peace. By the way, what are your plans next? Otherwise, let's go to Team Zen now and see if she can help you there. Make arrangements. Let's wait until the head of the regiment comes back. Don't let you go astray again, then he will hate me to death. Jun Daodu grabbed Chu Xia's arm with a look of nostalgia. For more than half a year, I have often thinking of the days with you. To be honest, you are my real friends when you grow up so big. When I was 4 years old, I was sent to my adoptive parents' house. The children over there regarded me as an outsider and didn't like to play with me, so I could only play with my adoptive parents' brother. Later, my parents came back and took me home. The children from the same circle as my parents didn't like me very much, because I didn't know many of the things they liked. At that time, my self-esteem was very strong, so I deliberately ignored them. If I hadn't met Johan Liang, I probably still don't know what a real friend is. I didn't hear you say this before. We didn't even know you had such a family background. It's so unreal. Suddenly you disappeared when you said you were missing. I don't think my dad's house is my home. In my heart, my parents' home is my home. Really, they are people who treat me sincerely. My dad is also good to me. Mom, hey. Speaking of Lan Alien, Jun Daodu sighed and stopped talking. Chu Xia had no choice but to persuade. There are no parents in the world who don't love their children, and sometimes their actions may be wrong, but in their own opinion, it must be for the children's good, it should not be intentional. Today's first update, well, I was lazy during the day, I plead guilty, and I will work harder tomorrow. To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 360. Two more to. After listening to Chu Xia's persuasion, Jun Daodu couldn't help but smile bitterly, or in my mother's opinion, everything she does is for me, but I can't agree with her approach. She believes that when men and women form a family, they are not together because of their good feelings, but because of interests. A man from an ordinary family marries a woman from an ordinary family in order to find someone to live with, to find someone to accompany him. A man from a good family marries a woman from a good family in order to have one more help that can help him and to make his future more prosperous. The above two are the arguments she firmly believes, so she firmly disagrees with me and Johan Liang, because in her opinion, Johan Liang and I are together to get more from me, not really like me. I'm not afraid of your jokes. After I got home, my mother always wanted to be with me and Mei Yaitong. By the way, do you know who Mei Yaitong is? Well, I know, it's the man who liked Yamiru with Zhou Mikang. In order to make it clear that he knew who Mei Yaitong was, he used Yamiru as a marker in early summer. You know quite a lot. Jun Daodu stared at Chu Xia in surprise, speaking so calmly, you really don't feel sour in your heart. What sour? Chu Xia spread her hands, I don't know where I am when they are good, what qualifications do I have to be sour? Besides, what is sour? Now I am married to Zhou Mikang, not Yamiru. You can really think about it? I didn't know about Zhou and Yamiru until recently. I only learned about it when my mother took me to Mei's house as a guest. I was worried about you at the time. I'm afraid you won't be able to accept this if you know it, after all. They had been together for several years, and Zhou had kept her from touching for several years. You really don't mind? Why do I think you're expecting me to have a conflict with Zhou Mikang? Chu Xia squinted at Jun Daodu, could it be that you like Zhou Mikang too? Thinking of breaking us up? You. Jun Daodu gave her a push, I never dared to have any unreasonable thoughts about Zhou, and I didn't expect you to have a conflict with him, I just thought that if it were me, I'm sure I won't be able to get over the hurdle in my heart. I'm afraid that you will hold back this matter and make it wrong, so I kindly invite you to talk to me. I even said that I saw the head of last week, and we can't do this. I know what you mean. After a pause, Chu Xia said, I tried my best to recall. I really have nothing to say about Yamiru. In fact, she has been actively seeking reconciliation with Zhou Mikang since she came back, hoping to get back together with him, but Zhou Mikang rejected her. So, she married herself to a man she didn't like, and all I can say is that she is also a poor woman. Of course, I'm not pity her, I'm saying that she hurt herself. It's so pathetic, this kind of person. It is self-inflicted, pitiful without knowing it. You say. What do I have to be jealous of about such a person? I have to thank her, if it wasn't for her, how would I have the chance to marry Joe Mikang, don't you think? That's right, Jun Daodu smiled and nodded. It seems that I will learn from you in the future and think about the good side of everything. Then, the results I see will be different. That's right, Chu Xia pointed to her bag with a smile. Just your small bag, with all your belongings. How do you live? When I came out, I cut off my relationship with my mother, so I didn't want to take her things. Besides, with her temper, if I did take her things, she would definitely continue to make a fuss. Anyway, this time I made up my mind, she must not be used to her temper. If she can't figure it out, I will definitely not go back. Chu Xia, you are my friend, you won't leave me alone, right? Chu Xia shrugged his shoulders. I don't have the ability to take care of you. I'll ask a few bosses to arrange this for you. Jun Daodu looked puzzled. What is a big hug? Death. People in this era don't learn English, and it's normal that they don't understand. Thinking about the way of speaking in this era, Chu Xia explained, it's the meaning of a big leader. Jun Daodu nodded suddenly. Oh, I understand, it means to help arrange things when your husband comes back. Chu Xia. Let's not talk to my husband, it's so formal. At this moment, Joe Mikang pushed open the door and came in, first nodded at Chu Xia, and then looked at Jun Daodu. What about Zhou Hanliang, why did you throw you here? I don't know, I ran away from home. Jun Daodu deliberately squeezed Chu Xia. Captain, you need help with my affairs, I need work, I ran away from home, I need a place to live. Local, your wife has promised to help me, you can figure it out. Chu Xia looked at her speechlessly. Can you be any more rascal? Running away from home, Zhou Mikang sat across from the two of them and looked at Jun Daodu with a serious face. Tell me about it in detail. Jun Daodu sat up straight and reported in detail about her falling out with Lan Alien. At the end, Chong Chuxia smiled slyly. It's not that I don't want to tell you about my sister, but I don't know how to say it, but although she is mentally damaged, I think she is happier than me. Anyway, she is very happy every day. Happy. Chu Xia is even more speechless. Big sister, can you stop being so offline, let your intelligence return to the age of, are you happy? This person is really standing and talking without back pain. Probably seeing Chu Xia's slander, Jun Daodu hurriedly explained, I'm not saying that my sister is well, I mean that I will be happier when I meet a mother like my sister. Chu Xia. Well, she still doesn't know what to say. Anyway, for her, she can't accept the return of intelligence. Actually, I mean. Zhou Mikang interrupted her. Okay, don't explain, now talk about your business. You said you ran away from home, talk about your current plan. Jun Daodu's expression became serious. I just want Zhou Hanliang to see my determination. For him, I can do anything, and I will wait for him until he returns. I ask to go back to the medical team. Head, if you can, please transfer me to 401, I want to be with them in early summer. I don't have any friends in the city. They are my best friends. Although we haven't known each other for a long time, I believe that we will be friends for life. Tell Zhou Hanliang these words in person. Whether you want to help you or not, I'll see what he plans. Zhou Mikang said and stood up. Shuxia, wait here with Daodu first, and I'll find Zhou Hanliang. 20 minutes later, Zhou Hanliang walked over with an excited look behind Zhou Mikang, and when he saw Jun Daodu, his eyes instantly lit up, and then, he glanced at Zhou Mikang crampedly, and giggled. In early summer, there is a black line. The men of this era are really cute, but why is the head of the group not so cute? She glanced at the head of the regiment, who had a dark face and expressionless, and quietly pouted. If you don't pretend to be cool, you will die. Can't you smile more? Before she could finish slandering, she saw the regiment commander kick Zhou Hanliang's ass. What a smirk, talk. Zhou Hanliang, who was kicked and staggered, quickly suppressed his smile and looked at June Daodu. Daodu, you are here. Chusia. Isn't this obvious? Can you talk a little more nonsense? Jo Mikang. How could I bring out such a fool, it's so embarrassing. June Daodu's cheeks blushed, and nodded at Johan's bright spot. Well, I'm here, you're back too. Let's go. Jo Mikang pulled Chusia and walked out. He couldn't listen anymore. The two of them had been talking silly things when they met before, but now it seems like it's going to happen again, so he doesn't want to waste time with them. Woolen cloth. Seeing that the car drove out of the yard and turned to the city center where there were more and more people, Chu Xianahan looked at Jo Mikang. Where is this going? When my parents come home, I can't go to send them. I can help them buy things while I have time. I'll buy you some clothes by the way. When I'm not here, I'm not allowed to buy clothes or dress up. So pretty, you know. Chu Xia. Too domineering. Originally, she wanted to say a few words of gratitude, but it seems that she is really self-indulgent. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 361. One more time, it's so hot. Ask for all kinds of support. On the way back, Chu Xia kept silent. One was guilty, and the other was that he didn't know what to say to Jo Mikang. The city of this era, unlike later generations, is a high-rise building. Generally speaking, even if the buildings with 5 or 6 floors are tall, most of them are bungalows. The advantage of this is that they have a wide field of vision. All kinds of uncomfortable and awkward early summer will look out of the window and pretend to enjoy the scenery. The sky is so blue now, and the air is so fresh. Thinking about it, I have been here for nearly a year, and I have never been able to relax and enjoy all this. After that, I couldn't help but smile, and I couldn't even get enough to eat. Well, where did you get the idea to enjoy the scenery? Feeling a pain in her arm, she turned around and Jo Mikang held a handful of candy in her hand. Eat it. Oops. When she was a child. Deliberately wanting to refuse, but what he gave her was her favorite sorghum, the soft and glutinous sorghum, which was completely different from what she had eaten before. Facing the temptation of delicious food, the claws could not help but stretch out. Jo Mikang frowned. 2 hands. Don't eat it. Chu Xia puffed out her mouth and retracted her hands. It wasn't that there was no candy wrapper, and it didn't interfere with eating when you dropped it on the ground. Do you need such a rude attitude? Anyway, what she has is pocket money. When she has a chance to go to the street, she buys a big bag, so she doesn't care that he gives it. Snort. You're not a big man, but your temper is not small. Jo Mikang slowed down. I feel good about eating candy, I know you can buy it yourself. But you can't quench your thirst from afar, so take it. Well, for the sake of his conscience. I don't care about him anymore. Chu Xia pouted and reached out to hold the candy on his lap, poke a piece into his mouth, chewed it, squinted his eyes happily, and poke a piece away. Seeing her like a little squirrel, her mouth thumping happily, a smile appeared on the face of a certain domineering man unconsciously. You have nothing to ask me. Huh? Chu Xia stared at Jo Mikang suspiciously, her mouth still chewing. There was a little sugar paste on the corner of his mouth, and Jo Mikang's heart softened because of that cute little appearance. Jo Mikang simply stopped the car, reached over her head, and Chu Xia's eyes instantly widened. Before she could get angry, Jo Mikang had wiped the sugar paste from the corner of her mouth and smiled lightly. What a child. A rare gesture of tenderness. Completely stunned Chu Xia, his big eyes blinked and blinked again, his face full of incredulity. Jo Mikang glanced at her. Brows furrowed. If you don't train you, You won't get used to it, right? That's right, this is the captain's bag. Call. Take a long sigh of relief, there is one in early summer. Finally, I saw the feeling of an acquaintance again. Of course it's best if you don't train me, but don't make a sneer like an owl. It's scary. He just couldn't be nicer to her. Listen, what is this all about? He kindly smiled at her, but turned into an owl sneer. Forget it, or maybe his attitude towards her was a bit problematic before, and besides, this is still a child at all. If he really cares about her, it will be boring. About the gift money, you don't want to know what's going on. Gift money, Chuxia was stunned for a moment, then suddenly, oh, did you just ask me if I had anything to ask you, just to explain this to me? Zhou Mikang didn't say a word, apparently tacitly agreeing. Chuxia continued, I think there is always a reason for you to do it. If you want to tell me, you will naturally tell me. If you don't want to tell me, it is probably useless for me to ask. Zhou Mikang looked at her, are you angry? No. Chuxia shook his head without thinking, anyway, you have promised to hand over your salary to me in the future, and you want to support my parents with me. As long as you don't regret it, I have nothing to be angry about. My salary will be given to you, but this month is gone. After a pause, Zhou Mikang said, the last time I took out the gift money, I didn't think much about it. The character of my mother and father really gave them the gift money. It is estimated that they will save the money when they go back, and they will not move a single penny. This money was given to them so that they could live comfortably. What's the point of saving it? So after discussing it, I only gave them a little pocket money, and the rest was used to build a house. When our parents get home, the foundation is estimated to be up, and in a month or two, you can almost live in the new house, and you don't have to worry about the summer heat in the old house. He actually took the money to build a house for her family. Chuxia stared at Zhou Mikang stupidly, not knowing what to say for a while. He didn't say it before, because he didn't want her parents to say something grateful, right? Or do you also want to surprise her parents? He must have seen his parents' unhappiness, and also saw their slightly colder attitude than before, but he didn't say a word until he sent them away. The problem is, her parents didn't go back. Originally, her father didn't want the Zhou family to know about his condition, just because he had a grudge against it and didn't want to be in the Zhou family's light. Now, it seems that this is really ridiculous. If the Zhou family knew from the mouths of others that her father was hospitalized here and did not return, where should they put their faces? Thinking like this, Chuxia swallowed, I have something to tell you, I hope you don't get angry. Zhou Mikang expressed that he was very happy that Chuxia didn't say thank you to him, and his facial expression softened. Speak. My father and my mother didn't actually go back to their hometown. Chuxia glanced at Zhou Mikang's face before continuing, my father is sick. Crench. With a sudden break, Zhou Mikang frowned and looked at Chuxia, where are they now? However, they said that Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe were on the other side. As soon as Chuxia and Zhou Mikang left, they quickly got off the train, and they were handed over to Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan to help bring them back. As soon as the two walked to the exit, Jingzhe greeted him, carried the old man, and flew to the 401 General Hospital to check the hospitalization and treatment, and Jingzhe provided one-stop service. Lin Baohe's condition is the same as what Dean Su and Jingzhe said. It is not serious, but if it develops further, it will definitely cause endless troubles. The operation will be carried out on the second day. On the same day, the body will be conditioned by intravenous drip. As a well-known orthopedic expert in 401, Jingzhe usually does not undergo this kind of surgery, but this time, as if he was facing a major surgery, he repeatedly told his assistants and nurses to do their homework in advance. In 401, Jingzhe was definitely the Prince Charming in the minds of the nurses. During the time he was seconded to Teacher A, you can imagine how much everyone missed him. Seeing that he was so concerned about Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe's surgery, the nurses thought that Lin Baohe, Zhao Yulan, and his important relatives, therefore, for Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe, it was spring-like warmth. Seeing the other three patients in the same ward, they were stunned for a while. They were not ordinary people who could live in this kind of ward, but why did the nurses usually treat them so attentively? Therefore, because Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe were dressed a bit shabby and didn't want to pay attention to several of their patients, they started chatting with them intentionally or unintentionally. "Sister, what's wrong with my brother?" the old lady in the second bed asked with a smile. Zhao Yulan replied politely, "The femoral head is a little bad, so I just put some medicine in it." Sanbed was a woman in her 30s, and she quickly replied after Zhao Yulan's words, "That's not a big problem, it's like nothing else." Zhao Yulan nodded, "Well, the doctor said the same." "Aunt and uncle are Dr. Jing's relatives," the four-bed girl spoke in a soft voice, which made Zhao Yulan unconsciously think of her own daughter. "No, Dr. Jing is my daughter's teacher." Zhao Yulan is definitely a good example of answering questions. "Your daughter?" The young girl who was just about to ask where Zhao Yulan's daughter was, saw Jingzhe appearing at the door, and quickly stopped talking and said hello with a smile, "Hello, Dr. Jing." Jingzhe nodded at her and went straight to Lin Baohe's bedside. "Uncle, don't you feel any discomfort?" Lin Baohe wanted to sit up and answer, but Jingzhe held him down and said, "Uncle, you are treating me like an outsider again, don't you? Hurry up and lie down. If the needle comes out, uncle will have to suffer again." "Dr. Jing, Shida is too much trouble for you, Zhao Yulan didn't know what to say with a grateful face. "Look, just after talking about uncle, auntie is polite to me again. I'm Chu Xia's teacher, I should take care of you, auntie, sit down quickly." Jingzhe turned to look at Lin Baohe. "Uncle may feel in his heart after a while." Wei Wei is a little panicked, that is a normal reaction to the drug, so don't worry. Lin Baohe nodded, okay, he wanted to say a few polite words, but he felt it was a bit redundant, so he simply smiled and stopped talking. As long as his daughter was not involved, Lin Baohe was absolutely cherishing words like gold. "This is already hanging on the bottle?" It's quite fast. Zhu Xingcan whirled in like a gust of wind, and grabbed Zhao Yulan familiarly. "I'm Jingzhe's mother." "Hello, hello." Zhao Yulan stood up in a panic, with a look of helplessness, and Lin Baohe also became uncomfortable. With such a small illness, why did she still disturb Dr. Jing's mother? "Huh? Uncle and aunt, why are you here?" "Jingzhe, Aunt Zhu." The one who came in now, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe knew each other. They met at the engagement banquet yesterday. Yutao, the uncle and sister-in-law of early summer. At this moment, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe were trying to find a mask to cover their faces, so why did they just bump into each other? Look at the whole thing. By the way, I seem to have heard yesterday that Yutao's mother is also hospitalized here. Oh, why did they forget? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 362. Little comrade, that soldier comrade just now is your date, right? He is a handsome man and a beautiful woman, but he is really a good match. Are you married? Qin Mei changed her strategy, and the topic turned to Zhou Mikang. Thinking of her own purpose, Chu Xia stopped leaving her alone, and nodded with a smile. "Yes, he is my partner, and we are married." That's great, Qin Mei repeated a few words, and then turned the topic back to what she was interested in. "I heard your husband call Director Zhou third uncle. Is it relative to third uncle or just a title?" "Why are you asking this?" Chu Xia looked at her vigilantly. "We are just shopping, do we need to check so clearly?" "Comrade, you have misunderstood me. I am not asking Director Zhou this way, but..." With a blush on her cheeks, Qin Mei moved closer to Chu Xia and whispered, "If you are kissing third uncle, then they will be relatives in the future." Oh, Chu Xia nodded and pointed to the receipt on the counter. "You settle the accounts first, and I'll give you the food stamp and money, so as not to forget it later." "No, I'll settle the bill." Qin Mei pulled the list into the drawer. "I had a bad attitude earlier, as an apology, this is my heart." At this point, Chu Xia had already seen clearly Qin Mei's feelings for Zhou Shanping, so naturally she would not continue to quarrel with her, and as a junior and a niece and daughter-in-law, it was not convenient for her, so she gave away 90 catties of food, put the ticket and 26 yuan on the counter. "This is just right, you can count it and give me the receipt." Is this a clear rejection of his kindness? Qin Mei's face darkened slightly. Even if she kissed her third uncle, she was still a nephew. She has put her airs down so low, what more? If we talk about family background, she is not worthy of Zhou Shanping, but Zhou Shanping is divorced. She is a real big girl. If she hadn't been delayed until she was in her 30s by going to the mountains and the countryside, she would not have chosen him. A girl like her with a clean background is willing to marry into the Zhou family. What else can the Zhou family choose? Even if these two juniors don't say anything good for her, what is there to be afraid of? Besides, from the previous voice, it seems that the item was bought for the girl's natal family. Did you tell the elders of Zhou's family about this? Or did you rely on Zhou Shanping's help? She stared at the money and food stamps on the table, smiled at Chu Xia with a half-hearted smile, picked them up and counted them carefully. He signed the receipt and handed the receipt to Chu Xia. "Please send it out later." "Thank you all." Chu Xia nodded to the people inside, turned and walked out. It was almost noon, and there were no guests. A few salesmen stretched their heads to look outside, and then started to poke the fire. "Sister Qin, this girl should be Director Zhou's nephew and daughter-in-law. This air is too big. You are the elder, what is she?" "That's right, Sister Qin, you have to have a good talk with Director Zhou. After you get married, you have to be in an orderly manner to marry you. It's Director Zhou's blessing. What right does a little girl have to put on airs against you?" The older triangular-eyed man pouted and said, "What do you little girls know? In a big family like the Zhou family, the rules are strict." This moment, the niece and daughter-in-law don't know the identity of our team leader Qin. When team leader Qin and Director Zhou get married, the nephew and niece and daughter-in-law will obediently call the third aunt and flatter the third aunt. The third uncle is worse than the third aunt. Only when the third aunt is good can she have good food, right? Sister Yang, you know what to eat? Eating is a big deal. How many people died of starvation before? Qin Mei, who was full of gloom, became even more depressed when she heard the murmurs of the few people. She knew that although these people spoke nicely, they all wished that things between her and Zhou Shanping would go away quickly. She was angry just now, and felt that she was more than enough to match Zhou Shanping, but she really calmed down a little bit. After listening to these people's words of persuasion, she realized that at her age and family background, she could marry Zhou Shanping. Zhou Shanping is really climbing high branches. The matter between her and Zhou Shanping was due to her own initiative, and she finally got a glimpse of it, but this little branch should not affect the progress of the two of them. Thinking of this, she quickly went to the sub-counter to put the weighed items into bags and walked out. She pretended not to hear the yelling and obstruction of several people behind. Zhou Mikang and Zhou Shanping were tall, and with just one glance, she found where they were standing, and quickly trotted over with smiles on their faces. "What are you doing here?" Zhou Shanping frowned. "If you are not there, what if there are customers? Go back quickly and ask them to bring the rest over." Yes, Qin Mei had no choice but to swallow back the words, smiled at Zhou Mikang, then nodded at Chu Xia, who was watching her smile in the car, and trotted back to the supply and marketing building. "Third uncle, does she like you?" Zhou Mikang asked, frowning. Cough, cough, cough. Before Zhou Shanping had any reaction, Chu Xia choked on his own saliva. You think I'm so stupid that you didn't see it? Zhou Mikang glared at Chu Xia, took a cup of water from the driver's seat and handed it to her, then turned his gaze back to Zhou Shanping's face. Third uncle, you and third aunt, it's only been over a month since the divorce, why are you so in such a hurry to find money? Cough. 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 Mao Xia, who had just recovered, choked himself again without swallowing a sip of water, and the choking was worse than before. His little face flushed from coughing, and tears and snot flowed down his nose. Zhou Mikang quickly gave her the handkerchief, and gently stroked her back. You can't slow down, I won't snatch you. Third uncle, I'm sorry. After finally stopping, Chu Xia looked at Zhou Shanping with a look of embarrassment. I didn't mean it. I know, Zhou Shanping pointed to the cup. Drink more water, drink more water. What do you want to drink? Zhou Mikang snatched the cup from Chu Xia's hand. I'd better wait for third uncle to finish talking before letting her drink. If she continues to drink like this, she will really choke to death. In front of Zhou Shanping, Chu Xia didn't want to go against Zhou Mikang's face, so he could only roll his eyes and protest. Zhou Mikang rubbed her head amusedly. You stayed inside just now, did you just want to make sure that woman is interested in third uncle? Chu Xia quickly glanced at Zhou Shanping in embarrassment, and said frankly, that's right, I saw that her attitude towards third uncle was not quite right, so I wanted to make sure. But third uncle, I didn't mean to get involved, I stayed alone, just to see if she would ask me about third uncle. It turned out that she really cared about our relationship with my third uncle, but I didn't tell her, and I paid the bill and came out. Zhou Shanping looked embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Third uncle, how long have you been with her? Zhou Mikang asked. After hesitating, Zhou Shanping said, it was only a dozen days ago. She told me that she was willing to marry me, and asked me what I meant. I didn't refuse her, and I didn't agree to her. I just said that I would give it after thinking about it, she answered. If she's really a virtuous and kind woman, I'm sure I won't talk too much, but third uncle, haven't you had enough of third aunt's anger? As far as this woman is concerned, I can say responsibly that if you really marry her back home, she will definitely be no worse than third aunt. As for which aspects are no worse than third aunt, you should understand. I'll go back to her later. Zhou Shanping scratched his head unnaturally. Actually, I'm also hesitating whether to agree or not. You also know that your third aunt and I have not had much affection since we first got married, and after so many years, we have lost even a little affection. But for the sake of my children, I never thought about getting a divorce. If she hadn't done too badly this time, I wouldn't have taken this step. Originally, I planned to live alone like this for the rest of my life. Qin Mei has been working under me for 3 years, and she still has the ability to work. Moreover, she is also a girl who is not easy. She is 35 years old. In the unit, many people talk about her behind her back, and her mental pressure is also quite high. Big. After she brought it up this time, I thought, everyone is familiar with it, and I am much older than her, but if I look around, it might relieve her pressure, so I didn't reject her directly. For her bad attitude today, I apologize to you on her behalf. In fact, she has a good heart, but she is under too much pressure and has a dry temper. Especially when you see young couples, you get even more angry. You can understand why this is happening, can't you? Zhou Mikang interrupted him. Third uncle, what do you mean by saying this to us? Do you want to continue to want to get along with Qin Mei, or do you want to marry her back home? No, I'm not going to marry her home, I just want you to understand that she is not so useless. She is also a poor person. Zhou Shanping sighed heavily. The pressure that an old girl in her 30s has to bear, it's beyond your imagination. Really, it's not easy for her to do her work in an orderly manner under such circumstances. Steamed stuffed bun. Chu Xia secretly slandered, this week Shanping is a typical Baizai character, no wonder Lu Lingmei has been crushing him to death. Being too kind is also a sin. Regardless of men and women, being too kind is not necessarily a good thing. She stayed here to observe Qin Mei's character, she would not mix it up, but as a member of the Zhou family, she should always do something for the Zhou family. Well, she definitely would not. Admittedly, she is actually a character who must retaliate. She is actually angry that the other party's attitude towards Zhou Mikang was different from her attitude. Yes, Qin Mei's attitude towards unmarried men is obviously different from that of married men. Do you want to tell Zhou Shanping? When we first entered, Qin Mei treated Chu Xia completely differently from me. After knowing that I was married, her attitude was different. In the end, before she could make up her mind, the group leader Zhi said for her. Chu Xia stared at Zhou Mikang in a daze. Could it be that the frequency bands of brainwaves are similar after the two of them have been together for a long time? Why does he say what she thinks? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 363. In Zhou Shanping's impression, although Qin Mei has a bad temper, she is a dignified and traditional woman, but he believes that her nephew is definitely not the kind of person who doesn't like someone and deliberately slanders him. The Qin Mei he knew and the Qin Mei his nephew spoke of suddenly became two extremes. Zhou Shanping stood there with a dazed expression, his face full of conflicts, and he didn't know how to make a decision. Just at this moment, 3 salesmen came over with 2 big bags each, and Zhou Mikang gave Zhou Shanping a nudge. Uncle San, I have to go to the regiment in the afternoon, so let's go first. He opened the trunk and signaled several people put the bag in. Slow down on the road and pay attention to safety, Zhou Shanping urged. I know, third uncle, don't worry. Zhou Mikang waved his hand at him, turned around and got into the car to start the ignition. Chu Xia's head stuck out from the car window. Goodbye third uncle. Zhou Shanping smiled and waved, goodbye, seeing the car backing out slowly, turning to the intersection, speeding up, and disappearing. The smile on his face disappeared. He sighed, turned, and walked back. When he came to Qin Mei's side, he paused slightly, then quickened his pace and went upstairs quickly. Qin Mei's complexion was a little ugly. Usually, when Zhou Shanping passed her, he would smile at her and greet her. Such an attitude meant that he was angry. In other words, those 2 young men spoke ill of her. The salesman at the sub-counter naturally noticed the strangeness between the 2 of them, and they exchanged glances with faint excitement in their eyes. Qin Mei knew everyone's expressions without looking. She suddenly turned her gaze to the triangle eye closest to her, who happened to be quietly sizing her up. She was startled by her sudden stare. Quickly squeezed out a smile. Group leader Qin, I'm off work soon. Are you going home for lunch or going to the cafeteria? Qin Mei looked at her coldly. What's the matter with you? Triangular eyes had an idea. I was on duty at noon today, and I brought pork dumplings made by my mother-in-law from home. If you eat in the cafeteria, I would like to join you. No need. Qin Mei glanced at the time, and there were 5 minutes to get off work, so she packed her things, turned and went upstairs. What are you pretending to do? After her figure disappeared, Triangular Eye curled her lips, and quickly leaned towards the fat girl who was close to her. It looks like things between her and Director Zhou are going to get dirty. The fat girl nodded vigorously, and said with a giggle, originally, the team leader should be yours. In terms of age and qualifications, how can she compare with you? The people in the other cabinets also came over, talking all over to please the Triangular Eyes. Triangular Eyes are old fritters, how can I not see what everyone means? He just smiled and waved his hands. You can't guess like this. Team leader Qin has delayed the marriage for work. I can't compare with her. Sister Huang. You really know how to joke. The fat girl chuckled, looked up and looked around, and continued. At such a young age, when I see a good-looking young man, I can't wait to jump into his arms. If we talk to him, she will slump at us for a long time. I think she is a psychopath at all. Men are scared away. One of the pretty-looking girls said with an aggrieved expression, "What's more, every time my partner came to pick me up, she would stare at him with pretty eyes, but in the end, my partner didn't come and said nothing. It was to let her stare, feeling terrified." "Who made your partner look so good-looking?" the fat girl joked while scratching the pretty girl. "Every time I see your partner, I feel like I want to grab her, let alone her." "Go ahead, I just don't want him anymore." "That's what you said, don't regret it?" "Okay, stop making trouble." Triangle eyes quickly stopped the two of them. "If she comes down and hears it, you can't eat and leave." No matter how she and Director Joe are, for the time being, she is still the team leader. "We still have to work under her hands, be careful that the walls have ears." Several people immediately fell silent, looked around, and then went to look for food like birds and beasts. Triangle Eye took out the lunch box, soaked the dumplings in boiling water, and sat behind the counter to eat, with an uncontrollable smile on his face. "It's very fulfilling to provoke them, and I'm very happy to be isolated, right?" Chin Mei walked over with a gloomy expression, and overturned the lunch box, splashing dumplings and soup all over her body. "You." Triangle-Eyed hurriedly stood up, fluttering the mess on his body, staring at Chin Mei angrily. "Are you crazy? I'm warning you, don't talk nonsense behind my back, otherwise, next time I will pour boiling water on your head." Chin Mei snorted coldly, turned and left. The triangular eyes were so angry that her face turned purple. Even if her position was not as high as Chin Mei's, at least her age and qualifications are here. Besides, it's normal for colleagues to gossip behind their backs. Why does Chin Mei treat herself like this? Rolling her eyes, she didn't clean up the dirt on the ground, turned around and went upstairs. "Sister Huang, what's the matter with you?" The girl on duty on the second floor saw her appearing at the stairs in a mess, and hurried over with a towel. "Wipe off, it's winter, don't catch a cold." "Miss, it's better for you to treat my sister." Triangular eyes held Miss Yao's hand, and a few tears flowed out of her eyes. "Chin Mei is too bullying, I have to talk to Director Joe, you help me take a look." "Sister Huang, Chin Mei, and Director Joe." The triangular eyes smiled mysteriously. "Sister, are you stupid?" "Sister, just go and watch for me." "Okay, then I'll go down." Miss Yao obediently went to the first floor. When Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang entered the door, Zhao Yulan and Mrs. Yin were serving food to the table. The moment they saw their daughter and son-in-law, Zhao Yu's eyes filled with a smile. "It's better to come back sooner than later." "You two are greedy cats." "Yes, I crawled back following the scent." "What did mother do?" Seeing the fried brown fish, Chu Xia couldn't help reaching out to grab it, but was slapped on the paw by Zhao Yulan. "Wash your hands, you're already a daughter-in-law, and you're still so unruly of." "It would be a mistake if you really took the words of the mother-in-law as a reprimand," Zhou Mikang quickly stated. "Mom, I like Chu Xia like this, not pretentious. It's pretty good." Zhao Yulan's eyes were full of happy smiles, but she said in her mouth, "She is a monkey. If you really get used to her, she will really climb up the pole. At that time, don't think she is annoying." Lin Baohe and Wan Lao were packing up the pasted matchboxes. Zhou Mikang hurried over to say hello and help clean up. "Xia, Xiaomi is such a good husband who is hard to find with a lantern. It's not easy to meet such a man who loves you so much. After father and mother return to their hometown, you can stop being petty with others, you know, back home." Zhao Yulan instilled in her daughter the scriptures of being a good daughter-in-law. Chu Xia replied helplessly, "Mom, don't worry, I won't be petty. By the way, he is going on a business trip tomorrow. When his parents return to their hometown, he probably won't be able to come back." Come with me today. I bought some presents and went to Jingzhe at the gate of the courtyard. I just dumped them into his car, and he will help send my parents back when the time comes. It's so troublesome. Your father and I can just take the train back. Don't bother Xiaozhe. We can't repay him. We just trouble people. How embarrassing, Zhao Yulan sighed. You silly boy, you don't know what Xiaozhe thinks of you? Whether it's for Captain Zheng or for Xiaomi, you have to be careful. Of course, I don't mean that Xiaozhe doesn't pay attention, but you also, if you can't give others anything, you have to be more conscious, you know. This matter was arranged by Zhou Mikang, and it has nothing to do with me. Mother, let him take this education class, Chu Xia said while looking at Mrs. Yin, who was busy cooking the last dish. Auntie, did you see, mother really loves to teach me, she always treats me as a child who can't grow up. Mrs. Yin was not easy to get along with, so she smiled and continued to blame her. Zhao Yulan glared at her daughter. Anyway, keep an eye on yourself and don't make your parents-in-law's family feel uncomfortable. You have also seen the relationship between your mother-in-law and Jingzhe's mother. You have to have a count in your heart. Chu Xia leaned into Zhao Yulan's ear and whispered, Mother, do you speak up of the Jingzhe family's sincerity towards you? Hey, Zhao Yulan sighed helplessly, of course I know I'm sorry for her, but you are my daughter, and I can only think about things from the perspective of being good to you. Does it make you feel good when you treat me like that? My fault, Chu Xia glanced outside and smiled flatteringly, Mom, everyone is seated at the dining table, shall we stop shrinking in the kitchen? Just as Mrs. Yin was serving up the dishes, Zhao Yulan took the plate over and handed it to her daughter, you take out the dishes first, and I'll pick out the buns from the pot. Chu Xia responded and went out with a plate. She found out that the old lady really regarded Zhou Mikang as her own family, teaching her to trouble Jingzhe, but not training her to make Zhou Mikang buy so many things. Then I realized that the old lady didn't see how many things she bought, so she didn't feel it. When she saw it, she would probably be nagging her, and maybe she would ask to return it. The long tube should be resolved before leaving, so as not to cause further problems. Because I used to go to the supermarket with my parents, and I had to buy a lot every time. When I made the list, she didn't think it was exaggerated at all. Now, she suddenly thought about it. This is an era of extremely scarce supplies. How could they agree to buy these things for parents to take back? As soon as he went out the door, he found that Mr. Wan was staring at Zhou Mikang with a smile on his face. With a satisfied and appreciative expression on his face, Chu Xia rolled his eyes, and immediately had an idea in his mind. Mr. Wan knew about Zhou Mikang's mission and the nature of this mission, so he was very satisfied that Zhou Mikang and Chu Xia could come back to accompany Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe for lunch before departure. The look in the eyes of the other party, unconsciously became more loving. Chu Xia put the plate on the table, and sat down beside Wan Lao with a smile, Grandpa, I can live with you every other week in the future. Zhou Mikang discussed with the elders. Thank you Xiaomi, Wan Lao said sincerely. Zhao Yulan and Mrs. Yin came out with buns, and they just heard Chu Xia's words, and they both looked happy. It's good to live here every other week, as people are older, they just like the company of juniors. Xiaomi, thank you, Zhao Yulan also said. That's what it should be. Zhou Mikang smiled at the two of them. Mother and Grandpa Wan said that they are cheating on me. Father, Mother, these are the things that Zhou Mikang bought for you today and brought them home. Let's see if there is anything missing. We will make up for it when we have time in the afternoon. Chu Xia took out the list from his pocket and handed it to Lin Baohe. Send it to whom? Parents can figure it out themselves. As expected, looking at the items on the list, Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan expressed their objection in unison. Even a wealthy house in the village would not be able to buy these items on the list for 2 years. Father, Mother, this is my intention. Originally, I should accompany you back to your hometown, but I have a mission tomorrow, and I will definitely not be able to return when you return home, so I can only trouble Jingjet. If you don't accept these things, I will really feel bad. As a son-in-law, I can't do anything for my father-in-law, so what do I need? Zhou Mikang's words were sincere. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe still wanted to refuse, but they were worried that they would hurt their son-in-law, so they turned their attention to Mr. Wan for help. Mr. Wan smiled and said, "Accept it, Xiaomi is sincere, if you don't accept it, he will not feel at ease." Us. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe looked at each other, still hesitated. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Chu Xia looked at Zhou Mikang. "My parents are worried that if they accept it, it will make your elders feel uncomfortable. They think that I married you just to covet your family's things. Of course, they know that the Zhou family it's impossible to think like this, but I still can't help but worry." Yes. Yes. Yes, Zhao Yulan nodded again, and by the way, pinched Lin Baohe. Lin Baohe couldn't help but also nodded, expressing that the husband and wife had the same opinion. "I assure you with my life that Zhou's family will never think too much about this kind of thing. If parents are worried, they can go to Zhou's now, and I will let my family express their views in person." "No, no, no," Lin Baohe waved his hands anxiously, joking, "if this kind of thing really makes people express their opinions, wouldn't it be nothing to push their daughter into the pit? Then let's talk about it, take everything back." Zhou Mikang looked at the couple seriously. "Father, mother, Chu Xia and I should be filial to you. I hope that in the future, your two elders will not always think so much and hurt your relationship." Chu Xia quietly gave Zhou Mikang a thumbs up. Why did he understand the weaknesses of Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe so much? Of course, she understands better than him, but it's useless for her to persuade him, he has to persuade him. The son-in-law loves his daughter, is there anything better than this? Okay, we accept it. When we go back, we will tell Grandma and Grandpa that they were given by Xiaomi. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe looked at each other and stopped insisting. A bright smile appeared on Chu Xia's little face. Aha, her goal has finally been achieved. Zhou Mikang glanced at his little wife, lowered his head, his eyes were also full of smiles. Little things, playing tricks on him, when didn't he find out? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 364. Zhao Yulan was stuck with a matchbox, and her mouth never closed. The more she thought about it, the happier she became. She couldn't help poking Lin Baohe. "Baohe, we two are really blessed." "That's right." Lin Baohe also smiled beautifully. "Daughter is filial, son-in-law is filial, they are not blessed." "Yeah, you said that when Xiaogang was born in our family, at that little bit, he was as weak as a kitten when he cried." Ms. Zhong said that Xia was not easy to raise, and she was unlucky just by looking at her appearance. She said that her family Zhong Hongying so much better. As a result, how is our family Xia not better than her family Zhong Hongying? Can she compare in terms of work or marriage? I wonder if she dares to speak ill of our family Xia in front of me in the future. This person is retribution. Look at you. Lin Baohe quickly patted his wife on the back. "It's not good for you to be like this. If our daughter is blessed, that's our blessing. Why do you care if Zhong Hongying is blessed? I'm not angry, it's just that she always speaks bad things about our family Xia in the village, pretending that I don't know, and she bullies us to be honest when she says others dare not say it. In my heart, I have been suffocating. Let me tell you, her family, Zhong Hongying, was taught to be blind by her. In fact, that child was capable and sensible when she was young. How can she be so snobbish like she is now?" "Hey," Lin Baohe sighed, "the child was blinded by her mother, If the parents have a bad temper, the child will be really unlucky. After we go back, if Aunt Joan finds out what's going on and asks us to ask for help, then we can't agree. Don't make things difficult for Xia. It's up to you to say, I'm not stupid. Zhao Yulan glared at her husband. Do you think that I would respond as soon as I loosened my mouth just to show off my family's ability? Do you think I'm stupid? Yes. It is our son-in-law who is capable. How can I make it difficult for our daughter? When will our daughter have the ability? I won't hide it anymore, I want them to see it. Our daughter is relying on her own ability, let us enjoy the blessing. Lin Baohe thought for a while, then said, I don't think we can always talk about making her successful in front of our daughter. We can't force the child. If we force her out, we will have no place to regret it. You say yes. Ah, after being stunned for a while, Zhao Yulan patted her chest in fear. Thanks for reminding me, I'm still planning to leave now. Let's talk to Xia again. Hey, this person is really healed and the scars are forgotten. You said that when Xia was ignorant before, when did we dare to force her to be successful? Now that she is really promising, I force her every day. The child is forced to go back again, but what should I do? Lin Baohe sighed, that's not true. The two of us were stunned for a while, so we turned around and told the child well, and told her not to worry. Even if she's not promising, we'll come over to accompany her after making arrangements in our hometown, and we'll live with Uncle Juan. Still sticking matchboxes, it's not like eating rice. Okay. That's it? I'll talk to her tonight. Forget it tonight. Xiaomi is on a business trip tomorrow, so that the two children can get along well. I heard that the business trip this time is quite long. The two children are not together for a long time. We can spend more time together. Don't make trouble with the two of you. Business trip, Zhao Yulan slapped her forehead fiercely. Yeah, our family Xia seems to have said that Xiaomi is going on a business trip. Why didn't I take it too seriously? Tell me, would Xiaomi feel that my mother-in-law doesn't care about him? Oh. Zhao Yulan patted her knee with annoyed expression on her face. Okay. Lin Baohe hurriedly comforted his wife. Xiaomi is a big-hearted child, and she won't be so narrow-minded. When they come over at night, please be more concerned and let the young couple go back to rest early. Tomorrow in the morning, you made some scallion pancakes. Xiaomi loves your scallion pancakes the most, so bake more and bring them to him. Can this work? Okay, specify the line. What are you talking about? It's so lively. Mr. Wan, who had just taken a nap, approached with a smile. You can't do it when you're old, and you won't be energetic if you don't take a nap. You are an educated person, how can you be like us big bastards? Zhao Yulan said as she got up to make honey water for the old man, and Lin Baohe followed the old man's question and answered, Uncle Wan, Yulan is confused at noon. I'm confused. I didn't understand that Xiaomi was going on a business trip. I'll regret it. I think Xiaomi really likes the scallion pancakes she baked, so it's a good idea to bake some for Xiaomi to take with me tomorrow morning. Zhao Yulan, who came out with water, answered with a bitter face, Uncle Wan, you said I was so confused. Hey, I just thought about not being able to take those things back from the Zhou family, so I didn't turn my head around, and then said I forgot about it while I was talking. This makes people see that they are not their own children. If Xia is on a business trip, can I forget about it? Mr. Wan took a sip of the water and said with a light smile, you two are fine everywhere, but you are too rigid in your approach. Let's just say that the children will buy those things for you today. I told you about the situation of the Zhou family. People really don't think about those things, but you do. Of course, you think about Chu Xia, and you don't want Chu Xia to be difficult to do at your in-laws' house. You are absolutely good parents, but you think too much, and it will make her in-laws' family feel that you don't treat them as a family. You are just a girl like Chuxia, and you will definitely have to point to your girl in the future, right? If so, you and the Zhou family are really a family, right? But as for you, you always don't want to be in the Zhou family's light, and you are always afraid that the Zhou family will look down on Chuxia because of you. It was right to think so before, and it was right to pay attention to it. But now, you have been with the Zhou family for so long, and you know what kind of people they are, so you shouldn't be so rigid. When the Zhou family was in distress, not only did you not drag the Zhou family down, but you also helped the Zhou family a lot. If the Zhou family hadn't been rehabilitated so quickly this time, the Zhou family might have to rely on you too to support them. If that's the case, because you supported the Zhou family, would you show embarrassment to them? Zhao Yulan hurriedly waved her hands. Then how can it be? When someone encounters difficulties, we should help. How can we show embarrassment to him? This is the end. You can't show embarrassment to others. How can they show you embarrassment just because you are a girl? If there is no sharing will and woe, maybe they will regard you as the kind of parents who take advantage of their daughters, but after getting along with each other for a while, do you think they will think that way? The couple looked at each other and shook their heads in unison. That's the end of it. What they want to do now is to do their best to help you and let you live happily. The Zhou family is grateful from the bottom of their hearts for your performance in times of adversity. If you keep pushing back and rejecting this meeting, people will really think that you have two hearts with them. From now on, let's continue with the things that the children respect, and don't have to think too much about it, and don't rush to push it out like something. It's not for the children's benefit, it's making it difficult for the children to do. The couple couldn't turn their heads, but they were too embarrassed to directly refute Mr. Wan, so they didn't know what to say. Let me put it this way, if Chuxia wears new clothes and you wear patched clothes, Chuxia eats white flour steamed buns and you eat black corn buns, do you think Chuxia will be happy? The couple said in unison without even thinking about it, no. And that's what you're doing now. Uncle Wan. Zhao Yulan looked troubled. I kind of understand what you mean, that is to say, a little leakage between the Zhou family's fingers can make our couple live a prosperous life, and let us Chuxia doesn't have to worry about us. But Uncle Wan, we really can't get over the hurdles in our hearts, and we may not really notice the little things that people miss, but for us, no matter how busy we are in our lives, we can't make it through. Wan Lao looked at Lin Baohe. You think so too? No, the doubts in Lin Baohe's eyes disappeared, and his eyes became clearer. Uncle Wan, I understand, we can't use our standards to compare with the Zhou family. They did that to make Chuxia feel at ease. We did this to make Chuxia feel at ease. Speaking of it, the purpose of both of us doing this is the same, but for Chuxia, she can really feel at ease only if we live a good life. Originally, Yulan and I discussed it, and after returning to our hometown and settling down, we will come back and live with Uncle Wan. We are still making matchboxes. Uncle Wan, don't think we are bothering you. That's good, me, but I hope you can come and be my company. Mr. Wan said and laughed. Why do I think? I advise you, it seems that you want you to come back to support me in the old age, so speaking of which, am I being too selfish? Lin Baohe smiled embarrassedly. Uncle Wan, I know you said this because you were afraid that we would not live at ease. Don't worry, I really figured it out. Yulan hasn't figured it out yet, so I will persuade her. You mean, we will take whatever the Zhou family offers in the future? Zhao Yulan looked at her husband with a confused look on her face, but she still couldn't accept it. Didn't you find out that the Zhou family gave things after consideration? We shouldn't have them, and they must not give them to embarrass us. It's not that we can accept it with peace of mind when someone gives it to us. What I mean is that we can use other things to pay back. Of course, if we pay back the value of the given thing, we will never pay it back. Just do what you want. That can't be done. Zhao Yulan objected immediately. How can people care about our kindness? If you want to be rare, the things you sell yourself for are not rare. The difference between our two families is 10,000 miles. If you have to compare with others in terms of conditions, then we should let's ya marry. We have nothing at home, so we will never owe anyone for the rest of our lives. But are you willing? What nonsense are you talking about? Zhao Yulan stared at her husband with some annoyance. We Xia can't work in the first place. If we marry someone who has nothing, how will we live? It's not quite clear, Lin Bao. He just laughed. You said you still want your daughter to live a good life, and you want my husband's family to think that our family is the same as others. Isn't that just a dead end? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 365. After a few hours of getting along, the strangeness that had been separated for half a year disappeared completely. During lunch, Zhou Hanliang and Yun Daodu did not go to the cafeteria, but took out a small bag of sweet potatoes from the cupboard, sat in front of the stove and roasted them while chatting. At this moment, the two finally stopped talking nonsense like they did when they first met, and began to talk to each other about the topic. After saying what they missed, they entered the stage of carefully understanding the details. In the past 6 months of separation, have you ever had a good time with other women? It doesn't matter if you have that kind of thought. I want to be honest. If you dare to lie, I will never forgive you in this life. Yun Daodu stared at Zhou Hanliang with a serious face. Serious interrogation. Just thinking about something. Zhou Hanliang said angrily and amusedly, if you don't think I'm old, the women next to you won't care. When Yun Daodu heard this, she refused to let her go. You mean, the women next to you don't like it, and I take it as a sweet potato? What do you mean? Is it because my vision is low or my condition is poor? You. Zhou Hanliang rubbed his head speechlessly. Isn't it just looking for trouble for nothing? Yun Daodu's neck stiffened. Who is looking for trouble? I just ask you, not to say how are you really with others. Why not answer me well? Seeing that someone was really in a hurry, Zhou Hanliang hurriedly lowered his head. Okay, it's my fault. I will seriously answer you now. No, absolutely not. It's not like you don't know who I am. We've agreed, and we're still here. If we want to be together, let alone half a year, even 10 years, I will definitely wait. Yun Daodu hummed. Your sister's friend, who is called Li Yuxiang, saw you. His eyeballs were going to stick to you. Those eyes are full of admiration inside and out. Who knows, during the time I'm not here, will you go with the flow? She and my sister have been playing together since they were young. If we can really get along, do I have to wait until now? Zhou Hanliang sighed helplessly. Daodu, you must know that the most basic basis for two people to be together is trust. Haven't you ever worried that I would change my mind? Yun Daodu stared at him seriously. You know, my mom has always wanted to get me and brother May together, so you really haven't worried? No. Zhou Hanliang shook his head without thinking. I believe that if you really don't want to be with me anymore, you will definitely tell me. Before you tell me, you must have only me in your heart. Quite confident. Yun Daodu rolled her eyes at him coquettishly, pointing to a brown sweet potato roasted on the stove. This one is ready, I want to eat it. Knowing that he had passed the test, Zhou Hanliang heaved a sigh of relief. Hooking sweet potatoes to the side with a stove hook, gently knocked off the dust on it, then took it to the small tray next to it and handed it to the other party. Looking at the way you breathed out just now, I'm not sure. Is there really something you're hiding from me? Yun Daodu carefully peeled her skin, staring at Zhou Hanliang and continuing to interrogate. Zhou Hanliang wrinkled his face bitterly. Daodu, we can't do this. Then why did you breathe a sigh of relief just now? Zhou Hanliang looked at the other party seriously. Daodu, do you trust me? Use this method to force me to shut up. Yun Daodu rolled his eyes at him. It's not fun to play tricks like this. We haven't seen each other for so long, I just want to know the details. I don't doubt you. Of course I know that it is impossible for you to find someone else, but I also don't like other people's thoughts on you. It's not that I don't know your temper, good old man, I'm sorry to refuse. If there is such a person, I will be the villain, and I will block her out. Johan Liang, you are my man, and you can only be my man in this life, you know? No. Your people are mine, and your life is mine. I won't interfere with your work, but you have to remember that I'm waiting for you. If you don't come back, I'll wait forever. I know Johan Liang's expression became more moved. Okay, don't make such an expression. I don't like it. I should do everything to you. Similarly, you should fulfill my request. A family, you can't be polite. Good. Can't you say a few more words? Yun Daodu stared at him speechlessly. Aren't you good at speaking? Johan Liang smiled naively. You have said everything I want to say, and I have nothing to say. Then tell me why you breathed a sigh of relief just now. Johan Liang. Why did it turn back again? Seeing his dumbfounded look, Yun Daodu laughed. Silly, if you don't want to say it, then don't say it, I'm just kidding you. It's not that I don't want to say. Johan Liang frowned in confusion. It's because I don't like your suspicious attitude towards me, so when I realized that you already believed in me and no longer doubted me, I immediately felt relieved. If I lie to you, let me go to the battlefield and never come back. You, Jun Daodu was so angry that he punched him on the chest. How can you say such a thing? Who made you swear? I'm just chatting with you, how can you take it seriously? Johan Liang. Miss, were you chatting just now? The two of them were making a fuss when the office door opened, and Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang walked in. Zhou Tuan, early summer, come over to eat roasted sweet potatoes, sandy ones, so sweet. Yun Daodu greeted and skillfully hooked 2 roasted brown sweet potatoes from the stove, and put them on the plate. Ah, these little days are really comfortable. Chu Xia sat beside Yun Daodu with bright eyes, stretched out his hand to pull the sweet potatoes, and Zhou Mikang slapped his claws away. Want to be scalded to death. Chu Xia was speechless. Wouldn't he speak well if he had something to say? Just as Johan Liang wanted to say something to smooth things over, Zhou Mikang took the largest and most burnt roasted sweet potato from the plate, put it in his mouth and blew it, and began to peel the skin little by little. The corner of Jun Daodu's mouth twitched, and she handed the freshly peeled sweet potato to Chu Xia. Eat this. Chu Xia waved her hands again and again. No, no, you can eat it, it's fun to peel it yourself. Zhou Mikang handed the half-peeled one to Chu Xia, then peel the half yourself. Don't. Chu Xia glared at him. I'm afraid I'll burn to death. Okay, I said the wrong thing. Wasn't that in a hurry just now? You said you didn't count. You just pulled it off the stove. You dare to move it? Do you think your hand is the same as mine? Okay, because of your good attitude, I'll accept it. Chu Xia took the sweet potato from Zhou Mikang's hand, with a resigned expression on his face. Johan Liang opened his mouth half open, with a dazed expression on his face. Knowing that the head of the group is extremely different from Chu Xia, but such a difference still makes him a little overwhelmed. Is this the steely and tough captain? Yun Daodu poked him. What are you doing stupidly? Peel one off for me. Huh? Oh. It's delicious, it's delicious. Chu Xia blew while eating. It's been a long time since I ate something so delicious. Si, huh. Well, it's too urgent, it's hot. Slow down, no one is robbing you. Zhou Mikang quickly handed her the water glass, looking at her with a headache. Didn't you have lunch at noon? As for being so anxious. You don't understand, don't you? Gudong took 2 sips of water, and Chu Xia finally calmed down. Roasted sweet potatoes have to be eaten while they are hot to feel the taste. When they are cold, they will lose their taste. The head of the group, Tong Zi, who was about to pull the sweet potatoes down from the stove, stopped immediately. Zhou Hanliang lowered his head and sniggered. The leader finally met his nemesis. He has been with the leader for so many years, and this is the first time he has seen him be so patient with a person. One sweet potato is finished. When Zhou Mikang handed over another one, Chu Xia shook his head with a tangled face. I have more energy than energy. If I had known, I would not have lunch. Head, have you eaten? Zhou Hanliang looked at Zhou Mikang eagerly. We haven't eaten yet. After speaking, realizing that this might make Chu Xia feel embarrassed, he made up with a smirk. Just kidding, hee hee. Okay, stop pretending. Zhou Mikang handed him the sweet potato. Just Chu Xia's thick skin, I won't be embarrassed. When I ate just now, your flesh hurt, right? Chu Xia squinted and smiled regretfully. Unfortunately, I won't be able to eat another one, otherwise, I would never be polite. Zhou Hanliang gave her a thumbs up. No wonder the leader only likes you, I understand. Chu Xia pointed at herself and curled her lips. You mean that I have a thick skin? I mean you are different, free and easy. The leader likes this, and the leader hates being coy and petty. Zhou Hanliang slapped his forehead fiercely. Oh, yes, I'm not talking stupid. I should have figured it out when you got all the food stamps in the leader's hands, and sure enough, my brain is getting more and more degraded. It sounds like there are quite a lot of stories between Chu Xia and the leader. Can you tell me? Yun Daodu blinked her big eyes and asked curiously. Zhou Hanliang glanced at Zhou Mikang. Seeing that he had no intention of objecting, he began to talk about the first meeting between Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang. After hearing this, Yun Daodu's eyes on Chu Xia changed from admiration to admiration. In other words, the first time she saw the head of the group, Tongzi, she was so frightened that she couldn't say a word. The little girl in front of her dared to use 2 dumplings to exchange 20 taels of food coupons. Well, it seems inappropriate to use blackmail. This matter is basically a willingness to fight and a willingness to suffer. After hesitating for a while, Jun Daodu boldly looked at Zhou Mikang and asked, Head, did you fall in love with Chu Xia the first time you saw her? In other words, you fell in love with Chu Xia at first sight, right? No, the group leader's Haizu readily denied it. Then why did you? Seeing Zhou Hanliang winking at her, Yun Daodu just stood there, not knowing what to do. Zhou Hanliang, are your eyes cramping? Zhou Mikang glared at Zhou Hanliang, his face softened. If you think it's easier to accept love at first sight, then fall in love at first sight. Cut. Chu Xia rolled her beautiful big eyes. I don't have that kind of daydream. For a person like you, there is no such thing as love at first sight. I can only say that my difference caught your attention. Then, you fell into my gentle trap. Yun Daodu smacked her lips, not knowing what to say. Why didn't she realize before that Lin Chuxia was so thick-skinned? This saying was more than love at first sight. Are you still a gentle trap? Zhou Mikang smiled and shook his head. You are still gentle with sharp teeth and claws. The sharp teeth and sharp claws to you are because you never talk to me well, don't treat me well. Chu Xia pulled Yun Daodu to verify. Daodu, am I very gentle in front of you? It seems. Yun Daodu tried hard to recall for a while, then nodded. Yes. Look, Daodu said I'm gentle. Chu Xia smiled triumphantly. Be proud, you are so happy to have married a smart, beautiful, and gentle wife. Zhou Mikang. Zhou Hanliang. Yun Daodu. Looking at the 3 faces with slightly blank expressions in front of him, Chu Xia stroked his forehead helplessly. It's over, I have fascinated you all, my charm, do you want it to be so big? Zhou Mikang reached out to caress her forehead and stood up. Han Liang, let's go. Wait for the 2 figures to disappear. Jun Daodu looked at Chu Xia with a full face of admiration. The leader can make you toss without saying anything, I have convinced you. Small Chu Xia waved his hand indifferently. I can't let him bully me all the time. Marrying me back home was just a trick he played. Of course, it has been proved that he is sincere to me, so I forgive him. It's a little trick. But it can't make him too proud, can it? I think. After a pause, Yoon Dao-du said. I think you are like a mystery. I thought I knew you after being with you for so long. But now I find out. I don't know you at all. There are many factors in your character. It's really so annoying surprised. Although what you said is a bit cloudy, I can understand what you mean. You think that I grew up in a small village. I should be timid and honest. But in fact, what I showed and what I grew up in the environment is different, right? Yes, Yoon Dao-du nodded frankly. I am an example. When I was very young, my parents took care of my adoptive parents. They are just ordinary workers, so even if I return to my own home later, my performance is still like a child of a working family. My mother felt ashamed of me for this, and specially trained me. Unfortunately, no matter how she trained me, it was still difficult for me to integrate into her so-called circle. You are different. Your performance is more generous and decent than some children in my mother's so-called aristocratic circle. I don't know why I came to this conclusion. Anyway, I just think so. Let me put it this way, you and Luo Xiaoxian come from the same place, and when we play together, she is the most active, but when something happens, you must be the one who makes the decision, and you must be the one who is calm. You know what I mean. I don't look down on the countryside, nor do I look down on the children of ordinary families, but in terms of things, there are really differences in dealing with things, and you are the only one of a kind among the people I know now. I come from another time and space, isn't it a different kind of thing? Secretly swearing, Chu Xia's answer is painful, missing the life she used to, and happy, thanks to God for letting her meet true love here, including family, friendship, and love. That's because my parents were kind to me and didn't stick to me since I was a child, so my character has grown crooked. You don't know, I was not sensible before, my parents gave me a headache to death, and then I almost died of illness. Seeing my parents in pain, I suddenly figured it out and knew how to be filial to them. It seems that it is right for people to grow up when things happen. Yoon Dao-du nodded in approval. I think I have become more mature than before after this incident. Have you thought about your next plan? Have you discussed with Director Joe? He agreed with me to go to 401, saying that he would be at ease with you as his company. As for the place to live, there is a dormitory, there is nothing to worry about, but he said that he can't stay with me in such a daze, and he wants to find me at night, talk to Dad, and when he comes back, we'll get engaged. That's good. Chu Xia nodded in agreement. Dao-du, you should also cherish it, Director Joe is a good man. Well, I know, otherwise I wouldn't have fallen out with my family and came to him. In fact, when I left last time, I didn't compromise. I just thought that it would be best for my family to accept that we are together. If it can't be done, then I will abandon one side. As for which side to abandon, I have already decided. Regardless of the reason why my sister became what she is now, my mother is not qualified to let us lose the right to make decisions for our own lives just because of an accident. She believes that marriage needs material and rights to be stable, but I think that feelings are the prerequisite and must. Without gratitude, what is the use of material and power? I can't imagine what kind of disaster it is to lie in the same bed with a man I don't love and have a baby. We are human beings, not animals. Have you told Director Joe all this? Well, I said it, and it's also to reassure him. Yoon Dao-du sighed. You should know how dangerous their mission is this time, right? Chu Xia nodded, indicating that she knew. Or if it wasn't for this, I still wouldn't be able to make such a determination. I am very grateful to Captain Joe. If it wasn't for him, I would only know about it after Zhou Hanliang left. In case, especially in case, something happened to Zhou Hanliang, I would really live in guilt for the rest of my life, because when he left, I couldn't accompany him, give him encouragement and concern. I believe that I will be his concern. Although I am asking him if there are other women interested in him, and if he has thought about finding another woman, I know in my heart that he will not do such a thing. I said that just to let him feel that I am a little woman with flesh and blood and emotions. He is the most important thing in my heart. Even if he has nothing to do, I will still think about it. Then, I believe that when I am not by his side, he will really think of me three-dimensionally, remembering my advice to him. If it is not a last resort, he will definitely protect himself. It turns out that the way everyone wants to keep each other is so similar. In an instant, Chuseok felt that the distance between himself and Yoon Daodu was getting closer. Besides them, there is also Xiaoxian. Is she also with Zhao Qiliang at this time? Just thinking of this, a face was pasted on the window pane. When he saw her, he gave a big smile and stepped forward to open the door. Chuseok, I knew you must be here. Daodu, the moment she saw Yoon Daodu, Luo Xiaoxian's eyes widened. Why are you here? You were released? Oh, no, what I mean is that your mother agrees that you and instructor Joe together. Let's talk about this later. Yoon Daodu smiled and beckoned her to sit down. We will be together every day from now on. If you want to hear about my affairs, I will tell you slowly. Okay. Luo Xiaoxian nodded, explaining to herself, tomorrow the task will be assembled. I'll come over to have a look and tell you good news. The matter of my brother and Niu has been settled, and I have written a letter. Give it to my parents. This speed is really fast enough. This speed is fast enough, and there are faster ones. Luo Xiaoxian pouted. Who do you think my brother received a letter from? Don't tell me that Zhong Hongying wrote to him. You guessed it right. Luo Xiaoxian was speechless. I don't even know how that woman's brain grows. Could it be that she really thinks my brother is a fool? She even said in the letter that she figured it out, willing to marry my brother, if my brother is also willing. After he is demobilized, the two of them will get married.